Hi, I'm Brad Rexley, former Vice President for Disney's Epcot theme park, and you're listening to the Coaster Challenge podcast.
Hi there, I'm Lee Cockrell. I'm the former Executive Vice President of Walt Disney World, and Mickey Mouse was my boss. And you're listening to the Coaster Challenge podcast.
Do you accept the Coaster Challenge? Yes, I accept the Coaster Challenge. Do you accept the Coaster Challenge? Coaster Challenge podcast is here. It's time to face your fears. Get that theme park therapy and lend us both your Coaster Challenge podcast is here. Your fear can disappear. We know that theme park therapy can dry up all your tears. Do you accept the Coaster Challenge? Yes, I accept the Coaster Challenge. Do you accept the Coaster Challenge? We accept because you know we're not average.
You're listening to the Coaster Challenge podcast. A journey where people become fearful to fearless, all from riding roller coasters. So please, secure your hats and glasses and keep your hands and arms inside the podcast. It's time to accept the Coaster Challenge with your hosts, Kim Dyke.
Hi, this is Kim from the Coaster Challenge podcast, and I'm very excited to talk with my guest this evening. I'm delighted to welcome Josh Tyler, a coaster enthusiast that runs the YouTube channel and social media group FYE Coasters. Josh loves Kings Island and bringing his love of the park to others through his vlogs and in-person meetups. Welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Thank you for having me tonight, Kim. I really appreciate it.
Well, I am absolutely thrilled to have you here. We've gotten to know each other and become friends through hanging out at events such as Coaster Stock and other FYE community meetups at Kings Island. For our audience, will you please share some things about yourself to help them get to know you better?
Yeah, so a few things to help get you guys to know me better. Again, my name is Josh Tyler. I do run a coaster page called FYE Coasters. Actually, 2023 is going to be our 10-year anniversary, so we'll be doing some fun things. Kind of a few things about me. Kings Island is my home park. I'm about 25 minutes from Kings Island, and I'm about 4 hours from Cedar Point, and about 2 hours from Kentucky Kingdom, about 3 from Holiday World, and about 5 from Dollywood. So I'm like right in the middle of everything. It's kind of nice.
Spot to be in.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I grew up going to Kings Island. I remember going there when I was a kid. Very, vague memories going there. There's a few photos of me there, but I definitely went. But yeah, and then I've always just loved Kings Island. I actually used to work there in 2012 and 2013, but we can get into that in a later part of the episode.
I knew you used to work at Kings Island, but I didn't realize it had been that long ago. So I'm really interested in hearing more in hearing more about that. And that's a common connection we have there too. I went to Kings Island when I was a kid. It was once a year, and it was always like the night before Christmas, the night before Kings Island. We were always so excited to go. And now, in my adult life, it's a home away from home I can never wait to go back to.
Right.
Okay, so this first part of the interview is going to be kind of like our Coaster Time Traveler. We're going to go back in time and talk about your history of riding coasters. So our first question, as we enter the Coaster Time Traveling, is what is the first coaster that you remember riding?
Okay, so I've been thinking long and hard about this question because obviously as when you're a kid, you obviously ride the kiddie coasters first, right? So yes. Great Pumpkin Coaster, I know was my first one, but when it was, I have no idea. The first big coaster I remember riding was actually Backwards Racer. I don't know what year it was, but
first.
Yeah. But the first time I ever rode Racer was Backwards.
Wow.
My buddy, I forget his name. It was one of my mom's friend's son. We went to Kings Island one day, and they let us hang out together and like walk around by ourselves. And he's like, "Hey, you gotta try Racer." I'm like, oh no, because back then I was not into coasters. I was actually, kind of like how every enthusiast starts out. Like I was actually scared, and well, I mean, I wouldn't say scared, but more like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen.
You're braver than I was because I was scared to ride backwards for a long time. I would ride forward, but
all right. So, I didn't know it was backwards when I went on it because back then they had the metal chain link down the middle of the ramp and on the station, but obviously it's been since removed. But I believe it was what's now the red side was the backwards side. I rode Racer, and I fell in love with it. I didn't really go on becoming an enthusiast then, but I'm just Racer is pretty much the one that started my my journey into liking coasters, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I remember my first were at Kings Island as well. My first one was what's now called the Woodstock Express. It was the Beastie when I was a kid, but my family, they wouldn't let me ride much. They thought everything was dangerous. So
yeah,
I could ride things that's fun in fast circles, which I still despise to this day. It makes me sick. It makes me dizzy. I just don't like it. But it wasn't my first big coaster. I remember faint memories of riding Racer, but I think I may have ridden King Cobra before I rode Racer.
I unfortunately do not have that credit.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, it was like really not very many rides because they wouldn't let me ride much. Yeah. And I didn't really start riding bigger coasters more until I was 18. We went on my senior night to Kings Island, and I was the only one in the group that didn't want to ride Vortex. And that was back in the day when it was running really well. But I was scared to death of that thing. And I remember all the commercials and all the hype around it. And I mean, my heart would race just watching the commercials on TV. And then when I saw that thing for real, it was, that was earth shattering at the time to see something like that. And I finally was peer pressured onto Vortex. And when I rode it, I loved it. And that kind of opening doors for me just to want to start to try new things. I rode Son of Beast. I rode it before it got bad. And I really liked it. And that was my early history at Kings Island. So thinking back on all the coasters you've ridden thus far, we always, as enthusiasts, when you're in parks and stuff, you hear people talk about stuff that's scary. What would you say is the one coaster that has scared you the most, or one that scared you a whole lot?
Okay, so again, I was kind of looking through the questions, and every answer I have, they all kind of tie in together. You know what I'm saying? So like that kind of brings to this next one is another one of my first big roller coasters. Believe it or not, was Son of Beast. Nice. And in that same day, I rode Racer, Son of Beast, and actually Drop Zone. Again, like I was terrified. Well, see, I don't want to say terrified, but I was.
Son of Beast was a monstrosity to look at.
Yeah. So like, but me, I'm like, what is that thing? So like, just like walking up to it, I'm just like, what am I getting myself into? When I got off, and I wanted to ride it again, and then again and again and again. And I want to say that was because it was after they took the loop out, but it was before it closed, obviously. It was mid 2000s. I mean, it had to have been because it closed in 2009. They tore it down in 2012, right? Yeah, that sounds right.
So did you ride it with the loop as well?
No, I rode it after they took the loop out.
I only rode it with the loop.
Yeah,
and I loved it. But then I heard that it got really like backbreakingly bad after they took the loop out.
Yeah. But see, to kind of answer your question as far as like scare, like nothing, no ride I have ever ridden to this day has scared me or terrified me at all. If I had to, like, it's more like your calm rides that you're not strapped into something, but like even those, like I can stand on top of the Eiffel Tower all day long at Kings Island and just sit there and then just feel the tower shake. And you have people that come in and they're like trembling and like pushed up against the walls. And it's just like, but like when I think, again, I haven't traveled as much as you guys have and, most people that we hang out with, but like, the rides I have rode, like nothing has really scared me, but like I just enjoy it. Like I can just get on a ride and enjoy it, even if I have never rode it before. Kind of like the first time I ever rode a Top Thrill Dragster. I did not know what to expect. I waited in line for 5 hours and it broke down. And then, it's just one of those things. Like I didn't know what to expect when I rode it. And I got off and I loved it. So I
can't believe that one didn't scare you the first time. No. It's weird for me, that particular ride. I was calm and I think a bit overly confident through the line. Mm-hmm. It was when I sat down in the seat that all hell broke loose. Yeah. My hands were shaking like crazy and I could barely breathe. I was hanging on for dear life. But it was one of those things of, like you said, after I rode it once, I wanted to do it again. And then I was on a personal challenge mission to get my hands up on the launch because I saw like the kids and everybody doing it. And I was going to be mad at myself if I left and I hadn't done it. Because, that was still, another level of fear to overcome. And it took 5 rides and I finally started getting my hands up on the launch. Then I had to get a couple more bonus rides. Thankfully, the line wasn't 5 hours long like it was when you waited. But it was one of those things, for me, a lot of overcoming fear too has been, all right, that was fun. Let's do it again and just keep doing it until it's easy. And it was really, surreal to me this year, looking back on my initial fear when we rode Top Thrill Dragster to get on King to Call for the first time. And there was no fear left. Everything was gone. I didn't have any problem put my hands up on the launch or whatever. And it just amazes me, how that process has unfolded over time. So getting in line for Son of Beast that first time, you were just talking about how, I guess, intimidating it looked, for lack of a better term. How were you feeling when you approached the station for the first time?
See, that's kind of like where my answer ties into this one too. When I first saw Son of Beast, again, like I forget how old I was. I was obviously like I believe, 2000, it closed in what? Like some of 08, and then it didn't run in 09, and then it sat until 12, took out 12, then they built Banshee in 14. So it had to have been sometime around right when Paramount sold Cedar Fair. So 2005, 2006. I think they took the loop out and I think right before Cedar Fair bought it, right?
What year did Cedar Fair buy that?
It was 2006.
I was going to say 2006 was when.
Five, because it was 2005. That's when Firehawk came, and that was our first.
I think that's when the loop came out. Was in 2006. Pretty sure. Of course, that's when I wasn't writing it.
Let's see. They took the loop out, and actually, it says 2007. Loop was removed prior to 2007 season, so it had to have been somewhere around 2006. So right around 5, 6, or 7 was when I walked up the Son of Beast, and like I've always seen it, but I never rode it. And again, like nothing scares me as far as when it comes to rides. Or, like I'm just an adrenaline junkie, and like I'll ride anything and everything I can get my hands on or I can fit into. But yeah, so just walking up, I remember. I mean, the whole thing's still there. The queue, the station, the line, the exit, the photo booth, everything's still there. So like, it brings back memories. You can look at it, and I can just picture the gigantic wooden structure sitting there. And like, being a coaster enthusiast today and knowing what that ride was for its time, and it just gives me chills thinking about like what that ride could have been. And I remember seeing at one time, it was 1 or 2 years, actually, no, it was more, because Diamondback was 2009, of seeing Son of Beast and Diamondback in the same park standing at the same time, even though Son of Beast wasn't running. But just to think, a hyper wooden coaster just standing there. It just, and some of the photos, I have to show you a photo later. This photo online of one of the maintenance workers, or it wasn't a maintenance worker, it was one of the guy that got permission to film it, but it's like a bunch of fog and he's above the fog, and it's so breathtaking.
Wow.
And I know not everyone understands, like when us coaster enthusiasts say like, oh, that ride is just so beautiful, like look at that wood or look at that steel,
the smell.
Yeah, the smell of the grease chain.
Yes.
But yeah, like it didn't really intimidate me. It just made me, hey, what am I about to experience? Like, hey, what's about to happen? And that just, that helped build my love and passion for coasters.
I still, if I, occasionally on Facebook or whatever, these old promo videos from Son of Beast will pop up, or, some of these old fuzzy POVs, I watch them every time I see them.
I do too.
And it was just before its time. It was a great theory, just a little early. Part of me still, it was early. Part of me still hopes at some point there will be some, I don't know, RC version of it or something. Time will tell on that one. So after you got off of Son of Beast for the first time, how were you feeling?
Again, kind of like I said, I just like, what did I just do? I did it 3 more times that day. And then, I felt amazing. I just like, what did I just do? Like how did that make me feel back then? Like it made me, I didn't look at it like I kind of do today, as far as like, oh, I just got off. Oh, that element was good. Oh, that inversion was good. I got off and I wanted to ride again. So, I mean, I felt like, a big bundle of joy.
That's exactly how I felt. I shared my story with you earlier. The first time I got off Diamondback and had finally experienced airtime. For me, coasters are the same as going to the beach for some people. That's become my stress.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, my stress relief, my self-care. And the job I do, teaching in an inner city school. I'm in my 24th year of teaching, my 19th year in the same school. That's not easy work mentally, and to be able to go in fresh every single day, let go of whatever happened the day before, let go of whatever went wrong in your own life that morning or whatever, come in there fresh and be what those kids need me to be. Mm-hmm. I've got to have my mind clear. And coasters have become a very integral part of that for me. And it's helped, not just me get myself physically in shape, but mentally in shape. I've become a far better teacher. I'm at a point now, where a lot of people, 24 years into their teaching career, they're burnt out. They're ready to retire. And me, I'm still in the process of, I'm still learning new things every day. I think I'll know when it's time to go, but that time's not yet. And it's awesome when people at work and other places can see the impact that coasters have had, and they're like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where'd this new person come from? And it all ties back to finding what we call, for me, coaster therapy. Been life-changing in every way. So after you got off of that first ride, would you say that it had an impact on your life or not?
Oh, definitely. Again, kind of tying all of these into one.
Really fun.
Yeah, it changed my life. But again, I didn't really come to be an enthusiast until, like 2013, but we'll get there. But yeah, it made me want to ride more, try out more of the coasters at the park. Because at the time, I didn't have all the credits at Kings Island, nor did I even know a credit, quote unquote, was a thing back then.
I didn't either until like 2020-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I actually sat down and I'm like, I can't even remember if it was 2020 or 2021 when I actually finally sat down and made a list of everything I remember writing. I remember my original list had I think it was like 87 coasters on it.
Oh, wow.
Was where I started. And but I had no idea. And, talking about impacts on your life, there are some other ways coaster riding has impacted my life that, I didn't even really realize it was happening until it happened.
Mm-hmm.
One for me was with weight loss. Because, I started to realize, fear, because I used to be full of fear. I was raised, being told everything was scary. That sinks into your subconscious. You're told it enough, you're going to believe it. Mm-hmm. And I was absolutely scared to death every time I went to get on a coaster or anything. I closed my eyes for years. I don't even remember when I started opening my eyes.
Yeah.
And started realizing, fear is in your head. If you can be 400 feet in the air and you're not afraid of anything, eating for me too, emotional eating, it's in your head. You're not hungry, you're stressed, you're sad. So if you can get a grip on your mind, 400 plus feet in the air, you can get a grip on your mind in your kitchen
right.
and in your living room. So, that became a thing for me too. And another way that I've noticed that has impacted my life, I was raised in a home. My mother, we didn't know. I was raised in a town of less than 10,000 people. Very small town back in the 80s. My mother was bipolar, and the doctors did not know for a number of years what was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was very mentally ill and not properly medicated for over 10 years of my life. I grew up in fear all day, every day, scared to death. Sometimes to walk around the next corner, I never knew exactly what would happen to me. The golden rule was, never speak up and never make anybody mad.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taught to be seen and not heard. And if I was heard, particularly if I spoke my mind or in the wrong way, there could be pretty severe consequences for that. And as an adult, up until almost past the age of 40, I was very codependent. I would just do whatever I had to do to make other people happy, sacrifice myself, not really, just whatever it took to not make waves. So coaster riding for me too, all of a sudden, I started noticing myself. I'm suddenly able to hold my head up, be assertive in situations where I've never been able to be assertive before. Speak up and speak, when I need to. And all the fear used to, I could never, I couldn't handle confrontation. I would have a knot in my stomach, a big knot in my throat, cotton mouth, couldn't speak, heart pounding.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I can do this. And a big breakthrough for me, one of the biggest breakthroughs for me, big fear of public speaking. I was made fun of a lot in school. You know, anytime I got up in front of the class, it was just traumatizing. And it's been about a month ago, I was asked to present in front of the entire faculty at school, which has always been my biggest fear, speaking in front of adults. I can speak in front of kids all
right
day.
Here too. Same here. I hated doing that in school.
You stand me up in front of adults and oh Lord, I can't do it. Well, they wanted me to do this whole presentation on firm, calm, finesse, the way I manage behavior in my classroom, and you know, help other teachers. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this or not, but I've been pretty much told that I have to. So I guess I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this. And it was the first time in my entire life I got up in front of over 50 people. I had everybody's attention. The room was so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. I had eye contact from everybody. I was laughing. I was using humor. And, you know, so I was up in front of this entire crowd. I was able to laugh, use humor, show my personality. And I wasn't nervous at all. It just happened. And I mean, I just turned 47 years old. This is the first time I've ever, you know, been able to get up in front of a group like that and feel good about the way that it went and realize I felt just as comfortable in that situation as I do talking to you right now. So
yeah,
coasters help a lot in that area as well, just being able to interact with people in general. So looking back on all of your coaster riding, you know, we've all had those unexpected moments on coasters at amusement parks that we look back on and it's like, how in the world did that happen? What was that? What would you say has been your craziest moment on a coaster or in a park?
Well, craziest moment. I mean, you want me to answer that as in like a ride experience or
it's however you want to answer it. You can't talk about making that video with that word last Saturday either.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that word.
I won't say it. And for those of you listening, it's not a bad word. Kim just doesn't like it. Which actually, I don't know the story behind that. I do not know the story behind it.
Oh.
So let me answer this question.
Share your story, and then I'll share my crazy story behind that word.
Okay. The craziest moment. So I wouldn't call it crazy because it just happened not too long ago. 20 or maybe it was like 2018, 2019. It had to have been 18. You know, obviously 2019, I was a coaster enthusiast. I've always wanted to roll back on something, or an event. And that ride happened to have been Lightning Rod. I seem to always go to Dollywood when it is in December or January. In the Christmas season. And I went, it was a rainy, I don't think it was cold, you know, like maybe like early, like not early, you're like low 50s, you know, upper 40s, somewhere around there. But, you know, it was raining. So Lightning Rod, like always, didn't open when we got there. Finally opened, everyone flocks there that, you know, wants to. So I got on, we, you know, get on, they check our restraints, and, you know, that all clear means you're out of here. So we go to get ready to launch. Again, I don't know how many sets of launch pads are on there or whatever, but the top half didn't work. So the bottom two, I think there's three. I mean, again, I don't know, but the bottom and middle part works. The top part didn't. So what happened? We rolled back and then we stopped right. Yeah, right. So we stopped right at the bottom. And actually, I have a video of it on our YouTube channel way back when. It's legit, like it's like 15 seconds. So we got up and I pulled my phone out really quick as we're walking on the catwalk back to the station. Like it's a terrible video. It's probably like my worst video I ever made. But like my phone is like pointing down, and I kind of point it up really quick to show that we are legit walking on lightning.
But it savored the moment.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But that was like way back in the day, which I can share that with you later. It's still up on our channel. But I would say that wasn't really, not a crazy experience, but it was something cool, fun. And that was, just a cool experience that hopefully I get to experience again on, another ride or whatever.
That's two things I'm still chasing: a rollback and an evac.
And I got both in one day.
That's awesome. The only evac I've had, I don't even know if it really counts. It was on the Sky Coaster at Indiana Beach. They got us up there and the ripcord wouldn't work. It wouldn't drop. So they had to bring us back down, get us out, reload us. But that's, okay. I don't even know if that actually counts, but that's all I've got. So my crazy story behind that infamous word, you should feel privileged. This is the first time I've ever shared this in public.
No, because everyone always says, don't say we.
Everybody says the magic word. The magic word Josh is referring to is we. So, and that's the bad word. We. So I'll
like
share.
Not we as in you and I, like we as in we.
There it is, just like that. I won't say it because that word will not come out of my mouth. But
I legit
anyway,
don't know the story.
So the story behind that, I took the kids to Dollywood. I think it was over fall break back in 2021. We were down there and we were riding Thunderhead. The kids were sitting together in one seat and I had a seat by myself. And this guy comes and sits down beside me, and I'm still not someone. I'll either talk to you like I've known you my whole life or I won't say a word. There's really not an in between. And it depends on my comfort level with you, especially with new people. It takes me a while to just, figure if I'm comfortable or not. And it's not anything personal necessarily. It's just, I'm kind of what they call, I'm an introverted extrovert, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Anyway, guy came and sat down beside me. And he looks at me and he was already getting on my nerves. Have you ridden this before? I just turned around and looked at him. I had my sunglasses on and I nodded my head. I didn't say a word. I turned back around. Is it scary?
I've had that happen before.
So I turned around. I still looked at him with shades on. Shook my head. Said a word. Turned back around. And he just proceeds to start telling me his life story. I don't even remember where he was from. I don't remember anything about him. I was just like, can somebody please just get this ride moving? And so I hadn't said two words to him. He was just talking all the way up Lift Hill. And he's like, yeah, and it was trying to tell me how he loved coasters and all this stuff. Well, we got to the top of the daggone Lift Hill. Soon after for the drop, he was talking about, what a coaster guru he is and all this. He grabbed on and held on for dear life like he was going to die. And he yelled, "Wee!" all the way down the drop. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody get him or me off this train now. He was yelling that word all the way through the ride.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever put his hands up one time. And we got off the ride. And he was standing there like, what to have some kind of conversation with me. I went back and I got Jay and I just said, look, I said, you have one job right now. I need you to go over there. I need you to get him away. That's it. Exactly what I said. Go do whatever you have to do. I'm done. And Jay went over there. I don't even know what he said. He just came back. He's like, Mom, it's taken care of. And he was gone. But I think that was probably, I guess, in terms of coaster nerds, one of the most annoying people I've ever met in my life. So yeah, that's the story behind that.
Yeah. At least I'm not the most annoying person you ever met in your life.
I'm surprised you didn't know it. Yeah, you're number 2. You and that other FYE guy. What's his name? Matt Newell. Yep. All right. So going back into the Coaster Time Traveler. From all of the coasters you've ridden, what is your favorite number 1 goat coaster?
Okay, so since you told me in the past that you watch my videos, I have never in my life have done a top 5, top 10, top 20 coaster thing. I don't really rate coasters, just because I don't know. Do you watch a lot of coaster YouTube videos?
I used to more than I do now. I just don't have a ton of time to sit down and watch TV these days, but I've seen a lot.
All right. So the other day, I think it was 2 days ago, El Toro Ryan did a top 25, and he says something that I go along with. He says every experience for every person is different on every coaster. Absolutely. So that's why he said he's never really done a number 1 or like a review video like that before, or a top 25. Yeah, he did 25. But like, it's hard for me because, okay, it depends on, okay, is it a hot day? Is it a cold day? Is it a rainy day? Is the train empty? Is the train full? Are they having good dispatches? Is it a element ride? Is it a airtime? You know what I'm saying? There's just so much to think about. And that's my mind just, asking so many freaking questions but it's like when it comes down to my favorite coaster, like, I don't have a favorite. I mean, but if I had to say one, and it has to be one that I've obviously ridden. I guess I'd say Steel Vengeance.
That surprises me. I thought you would say Beast.
Beast. But Kings Island's my home park. I mean, every ride, is a number 1 there for me. So I don't want to, and if I ever did, which people have asked, hey, can you do a top 10 video? I mean, probably next year, that will come out. So those of you listening, if you watch my stuff, that'll be be on the lookout for that. But when it comes to a ride like Steel Vengeance, I've never experienced something like that before. I have never rode anything like that before. Just the speed, the rush, the elements, the airtime, just everything all at once. And especially the second half, like the second half it still kicks you in the butt. It's always going. It doesn't stop until it hits those brakes.
It is relentless.
Yeah. And, for all those RMC, fans out there, like I haven't ridden a lot of RMCs. I have rode, Twisted Timbers, Steel Vengeance, Storm Chaser, Lightning Rod. What's the one at in Gurney, Illinois at 6 Flags?
Goliath.
Yeah, I've rode Goliath. I think that's 5. Yeah, so 5 RMCs I rode, which isn't, not bad, but not the worst. But out of all of them, I mean, just Steel Vengeance just is a good coaster.
I have 5 RMCs in my top 20. I mean, I love RMC and Steel Vengeance. I mean, I've been on 355 coasters, and Steel Vengeance is my number 3. That's a fantastic ride. Absolutely, for sure. But I get what you're saying too. One thing I've definitely learned from all the interviews I've done, talking to people about coasters they like and dislike, different bodies definitely prefer different forces. You know?
So I'm saying there's so much to take and people don't realize that.
You hear people hate all the time on T3. But, you know, I talked to one person whose number one coaster was T3. And
I actually got my first ride on that last year, I think. And it wasn't bad. I did not have a bad first ride on it. But again, all the horror stories I heard, like I happen to not have a bad ride on it. But, you know, like you said, to each their own.
And, you know, for me, and part of it, I think, is my height. Because, you know, I'm a bit vertically challenged.
Yeah.
The ones with the over-the-shoulder restraints, particularly the old arrow loopers and a lot of the Vacomas will, and some of the B&M inverts and sit-downs too, will just bang the crap out of my head if I don't really put my head back and brace, and then that halfway hurts my neck, you know, to do that.
Like Matt always says about like Magnum, you have to know how to ride it. You have to know how to ride a ride.
But I mean, there are people, I know I talked to some people that live for those old arrow loopers and those Vacoma boomerangs. I'm not one of them, but, you know, I'll joke and go, you know, just in kind of humor, you know, and that sort of thing about, you know, people's coaster preferences. But honestly, you know, if it makes somebody happy and you enjoy it, have at it. You know, there's definitely no harm in that. And that's one of the things I've come to love the most about, you know, talking to and getting to know as many people as I've gotten to know in the community is just having those conversations. There's no better way to pass time in a long line.
Yeah.
Than having, you know, conversations about coasters, you know, different opinions and that sort of thing. It always fascinates me to hear the things people love about a coaster that I don't like, you know, just to try to experience it from another perspective, you know, even just through talking and conversation. So from all the coasters you've ridden, do you have any of those one and dones? A least favorite one that just didn't
see? So that's something that I can share. So again, like a one and done for me, obviously we'll take Kings Island for example, and Vertigo is a one and done. But I still ride it multiple times a year. And believe it or not,
I ride it when other people want to ride it.
Yeah, believe it or not, Flight of Fear is actually a one and done for me too, and that's mainly because of the weight. That weight just sucks. Like it doesn't matter. Like
I won't wait a long time for it.
Yeah,
I'll get in line if it's you know if it's a reasonable wait, I'll wait.
Yeah, so like even over the summer when I'd have Fastlane Plus a few times, we would get in line and we would still wait, you know, 30 plus minutes, which is still better than your 2-ish hours. But that ride is just it's turning into Firehawk. It's the capacity just sucks. But as far as one and dones, I don't think I have rode enough coasters to really have like the worst one I've ever rode. Okay. Everyone says, let's see what King's Dominion and Anaconda, they said was pretty bad. I actually enjoyed that one.
It wasn't horrible.
Grizzly was that one was a little rough. But that's getting some love this year. But again, like I have not traveled a lot, but that is going to change in the next couple of years. I'm a big, you know, family man, so I like to, you know, I have a 10-year-old daughter. Yeah, family first. And then, like, you know, I have a 10-year-old daughter. She loves coasters. She's ridden everything at Kings Island. She's ridden most things at Cedar Point. You know, and, you know, seeing her doing that makes me feel good. That makes me feel, you know, oh, hey, I'm a good father because she loves coasters like I do.
And, you know, as your kids get older, those parks are still going to be there. Those coasters.
Well, the parks are, but the coasters won't. Like Vortex. So, like, when they announced Vortex, I remember that morning. I got up, I was getting ready for work, and we usually don't have the news on in the morning, but like that morning we happened to have it on, and she was up getting ready for school, and she saw on the news that they were getting rid of Vortex, and she loved Vortex, and she started crying. Like I've never cried at a roller coaster, but like just seeing her do that made me sad. And it's like, she's like, are they really getting rid of it? I'm like, yeah, they are, unfortunately. Like I remember waking up that morning, my phone blew up from like 5 o'clock in the morning, like all day. My phone just lit up it's a busy day for people, that do what we do, when parks and out, stuff like that. But, just seeing her like that, kind of made me hurt a little bit, that coasters do have effect on people,
Yes.
and
Nostalgia and
people,
the memories.
yeah, and not everyone realize, it's just a ride. Well, yeah, but that ride might mean something to someone, or that park might mean something to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things, like, that's what I enjoy doing. Like, I just ride coasters, I enjoy going to different parks, hanging out with people, doing meetups, making videos, and hang out with people, and just ride roller coasters. There's nothing else to it.
Yeah. And one thing I've learned too from the multitude of people that I've interviewed is to never judge. Like you have certain people, that ride the same coaster over and over again. You've got, people like Kings Island Nick that visit the park every single day. When you hear the story and you find out the reasoning behind it, it's typically not what you would expect to hear,
Yeah.
And just because it may not be the thing for me to do doesn't make it wrong.
Yeah. So like the question I get asked the most, and like, hey Josh, how do you go to Kings Island so much and not get bored? Okay, so like it's kind of like how I was going back to like those questions earlier about your experience on a ride. Every park visit is different. Every ride experience on the same ride I've ridden thousands of times is different. But like, I go to Kings Island, I just, I really enjoy, especially since I've had kids, like seeing them ride rides make me happy. And like my son Owen is 2, and he's he's going to be able to ride more next year at Kings Island. And that, just him doing that makes me happy. My daughter, like I said, loves riding coasters. My wife will ride rides, but she's not big into coasters like I am, which is fine. But, like we went to Disney last year. We rode everything there. Owen was actually able to do everything, even though he slept through half the things. But it's just so weird because they have a lot of like boat rides there, and like some of them have not steep drops, but like a sudden drop, and like he was able to ride that stuff. He sat in our laps and he slept most of the time. But like, or like their animal safari and Animal Kingdom, he was able to do that. We're climbing up and down hills, going through creeks and stuff, and he slept through that. But just seeing my kids' experiences on different rides at different parks just make me feel so good. And that's really what it's all about for me. Well, now, versus when, I didn't have kids.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's definitely interesting to hear, from the perspective of a family person versus, talking to an enthusiast that doesn't have children, because you get totally different views.
Yep. And 90% of enthusiasts don't have children.
Especially the ones that travel whole lot.
Yep.
And like, it's nice to be able to get up and go whenever you want, wherever you want. I'm like, I feel blessed, to be able to travel as much as I do when I can. And I look forward to the day, maybe one day when I'm able to do more. But you're definitely having that.
You're reliving it through your kids' eyes. And like, that just,
And for me, that's been a big part of it too, is having, them with me and being a part of it as well.
Yeah.
So going back to coasters and being an enthusiast, I shared with you previously the Diamondback, that last train of the night at Haunt at 1 o'clock in the morning. That was the coaster ride that made me an enthusiast. What coaster made you an enthusiast? When did it happen? And how did you realize you were becoming an enthusiast?
So it was kind of a coaster and an experience, if that makes sense. So kind of like what I said earlier, I used to work at Kings Island. I worked Diamondback in 2012 and 2013. Best 2 summers of my life as far as fun. It's a great place to work. I met so many friends. I met so many back then enthusiasts I didn't know, that I still see to this day. So working Diamondback and actually getting to operate the ride and like understanding how it works, it's just like a gigantic computer. It has the sensors throughout the ride. Most people know how rides work nowadays. But just knowing that stuff, it made me intrigued, to figure out more, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Totally. But what happened in 2013 when I left Kings Island, I had so many photos and videos. That's what kind of started FYE, but I'll get there in a second.
Okay.
I was posting pictures on like my personal Facebook, and it just kind of wasn't really going anywhere. So then I made a page, and they kind of took off from there. But I know that question is in a couple ones, so I will wait to say that. But as far as the coaster that started experience, I'd say Diamondback's a coaster, and my experience was working at Kings Island and getting like a behind the scenes, of everything. Like I had access to the whole park. I could go, not whenever I wanted, but like whenever we would do walks at Kings or on Diamondback, we would walk back there by the Hammerhead. I'm just walking around, looking at all the track around me. It's just so cool. But yeah, it might be a little bit different, than other people's how they got started. But hey.
Well, that's interesting. Now, I know that's another thing we have in common. The same coaster made us an enthusiast, but for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Those behind the scenes tours, when I can get them, are amongst my favorite things to do. It's like I'm in a whole other world.
That's why I wish Kings Island would do a winter tour. They could definitely do one.
Please. I would love to have that. I think it would be awesome to go, and if we could see inside the maintenance shops, kind of see the process that they take everything through.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It would be a dream day for me to get to see all of that. Now, I know you said, you haven't been able to travel as much due to your family, but looking forward to the future when you're able to travel more, what are some of your bucket list coasters to ride and places you'd like to visit?
Okay, so I was thinking about this one earlier as well. As far as bucket list coasters, every coaster I've never rode is on my bucket list. So it's more of a park versus like what are some of the parks versus rides. So like, I would really like to visit all the Universal parks in Florida, and obviously get all the credits there. SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, most of the rest of the Cedar Fair parks. But as far as like on my bucket list, I'd say right now it would be Universal and Busch Gardens. Those are my top 2 parks.
Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, or Tampa?
Both.
You can't lose. They're all fantastic parks.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like, because I do have such a low coaster count. I think I'm at like 112, I believe.
Yeah.
If I knock those parks out, that's gonna raise it.
Oh yeah.
And again, I'm not all for who has the highest number of credits.
Yeah.
I just ride coasters.
For me, it's fun to count, but it's not a competition with anybody.
Yeah, and some people, unfortunately, that's what it is. It's a competition, which is fine. That's just their lifestyle.
Yeah.
It doesn't bug me at all. But someday when I do visit those parks, I'm gonna enjoy myself, and hopefully my family's there to enjoy it with me. Because I enjoy traveling with them, like I said previously.
That's the thing too. I've noticed, different people enjoy different aspects of a hobby. And that's all completely okay. I know some people, there's like a little competition, that sort of thing, coaster count and that sort of thing. With me, it's a fun little thing I do with myself. And like this year, I don't even know really even a projection of how many coaster credits I'm going to get at the beginning of the year. A lot of it just happens by accident and fluke. Like along the way, I'll get these random messages from people when I'm in different places, and they're like, hey, did you, like, even when we were in Illinois over Labor Day weekend, I get this message, hey, there's this fair, and they gave me the fair that was there in town. And I looked it up. It was 10 minutes from the hotel that I was at. And it was literally on the way out of town. We popped over there, got a couple more credits. But it was absolutely surreal to me when I sat down. That's one of the reasons I know too. It's my own little thing. I make the post about individual credits and stuff. It helps me keep count. So if I forget or lose track, I can go back and look. And it was crazy to me because I'm looking forward to next year. This year, I wound up with 145 credits in a year, which I never in a million years thought I could do. But I'm like, if I somehow manage to do that next year, and I honestly don't know if it's going to happen. My summer break's going to wind up being a couple of weeks shorter next year because they're redoing the school calendar and stuff.
Yeah.
But if I did that again, I would hit 400 and 500 in the same year next year. I honestly think that's a bit of a stretch looking at the amount of time that I've got. But at the same time, for me, it's a fun little competition with me. Just with me. To see, chasing the carrot, how far can I get? Okay, so let's talk now more about FYE. Tell me about the history of FYE coasters. Some things you could talk about is when and how it started, what makes it different from other regular YouTube channels, what type of community events do you guys have, and what impact has it had, and do you have any plans for the future with FYE?
Okay, so that's why I stopped myself in the answer to the question a couple questions ago. So kind of hopping back on that, I worked at Kings Island 2012, 2013. When I left Kings Island in August of 13, I had so many photos and videos. Well, at the time, more of photos and videos on my phone, just because when I would get off at Kings Island, I would sometimes stay after, and I'm no professional photographer, but when I see a good photo, I take it. And, obviously phones from 2012 and 13, 10 years later to now are completely different. But I was posting photos on my personal Facebook, like tons, and, it wasn't doing nothing. I'm like, okay, like whatever. So then at the time, I think that's when they just rolled out, groups and pages and stuff, because Facebook didn't always have that. So I made a page, and our first name, because I suck at coming up with names, was Kings Island. Where else? Because that used to be their slogan from
Kings Island. What? Say that again.
Where else? Like Kings Island. Where else? Nowhere. That's where. It just be something stupid. But so I started posting pictures of just Kings Island on there, and it blew up. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I have something here. So it just kind of went from there. So then from 13 to 16, 2016, I went to my first park outside of Kings Island, Cedar Point. But prior to that time, I only went to Cedar Point with my family one time. So I haven't really been to Cedar Point, like kind of what I'm saying. So my first park outside of those two was Dollywood. I went in 2016. It was with, you might remember him, Coaster Matt Productions, Matt Killian.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, so he back then, was another one of our friends that did coaster stuff like that. But we went to Dollywood together. So I'm like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be covering a park outside of Kings Island, I can't be a page called Kings Island, you know what I'm saying? So I forget how I thought of the name FYE. I don't want it, and I never wanted it to stand for anything, just because. But at the time, it was the For Your Entertainment coasters.
That's what I always thought it meant.
Yeah, see, and like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you got that from the store," For Your Entertainment. Like, actually, no, I didn't. I couldn't think of nothing else, and I was up. It was 2 jobs ago. Yeah, that would have been 2 jobs ago. I was at work one night, and I was back when I work nights, and hey, well, FYE coasters. So that's when I came up with that. It was 2016, and the name stuck. People liked it. If you've been with me since that long, I appreciate it. Like I said earlier, we're coming up on our 10 years next year. So be on the lookout for some cool things. But kind of getting back to when we started, I had, again, back then, and it's kind of still now, I suck. I come up with things, like logos and, taglines or just whatever. So my very first logo, I made it from, I think it was like a shirt design website. And then like I put the font in there, and then I got like a picture of a coaster and I put it on top of it. And then I screenshotted it, and there's my logo.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah, and I can share that, which I still have it. We've only gone through 3 logos. And then the one after that, I had a friend, actually not a friend, someone on Facebook I found designed, but then he ended up wanting like a crap ton of money for it. So we came out to an agreement, and my old logo, which actually you might have or had a sticker of that for your car.
I have it on my car.
That's our newest one, but like it was more of like a square design. But it was that one, and then the one that you have now, Stephanie from Emotional Roller Coasters came out with that one, and that's the one I just stuck with, and that's the one that everyone knows. So that's kind of the history of that. So I'm trying to find something for our 10-year to, kind of like a retro. I don't really have a retro logo though, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to see which I can come up with it myself now. Like I have my iPad and, my iPhone and whatnot. So I can definitely make something up myself. It's just, taking the time to do it, make sure it looks right and it appeals to everything. So that being said, we went to Dollywood. I did one of my first vlogs, I believe it was. And you can go back and watch that. Yeah, everything is still up for my first vlogs, whatever. And then, so when it comes to YouTube, that just, it didn't really take off like other channels I've watched, but like, again, if you know me, I'm not a big numbers person. I do it because I enjoy it. I put videos out there. Yeah, one might get 10,000 views, one might get 10 views. I don't care. I enjoy doing it. Yeah, it takes time to edit it, and you got to travel to the park, buy the cameras, got to buy the memory cards, and take time to edit, which edit this podcast. But like, I don't get paid to do it. I enjoy doing it. So at the time, we were just Facebook and YouTube. And then, I'm like, okay, well, let's branch out. So then I branched out to Instagram, Twitter, and then, Twitter was always kind of like that one that I have, but I don't really, I have, but I don't really, use a lot. So like the last couple of months. Yeah. It's like the last month I've been really heavily on Twitter, just because that it's a good platform. And that's a whole nother story. But as far as like views, we blew up on Facebook, and then now as of today we're 13,000 people. So that's our biggest platform. Awesome. What kind of makes us, kind of answer your question, what makes us stand out?
And I've always heard you. One of the things that I've always associated with FYE. I remember that slogan, you know, we're different from those other guys.
Yeah. So like, that's me coming up with, hey, like we're different than those other guys. But then people, you know, we're kind of getting mad thinking, well, not people, just other pages. I'm not going to name names. We're just kind of getting like, you know, hey, why are, you know, you saying that, you saying you're better? No, it's like we're legit. We are standing out versus everyone else. And again, I'm in no competition. I just enjoy doing it. So that's kind of like where that started. So then, you know, kind of fast forward, I've been putting stuff on YouTube. I've been putting stuff on Facebook, Instagram, but, you know, we have everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you know, YouTube now. And then come 2020 to 2022, right now, the big thing is vertical videos. You can thank TikTok for that. You know, so you got TikTok, you got YouTube Shorts, you got Facebook and Instagram Reels. Twitter doesn't have anything yet. I heard they are going to have something, but you know, so being like, I see myself as a content creator. You know, yeah, I'm no, you know, 10 million yet, no, but like, so me as the person that wants to get anything and everything when I go to a park. So like, I don't have the, you know, you don't need a $10,000 or $5,000 camera to go out and capture amazing footage. You have the best camera you have with you is in your pocket. It's your, you know, your cell phone. So like, yeah, I have a GoPro and I have a DJI Pocket 2 camera. So in between my phone and those two, I get what I need. I get what I want. That's when it comes to photos. I use my phone. Why? Because the photos are there. It's easy to edit. They back up to, for me, I'm an Apple user, so they back up to iCloud. They'll be there forever. They're easy access. I can edit and post right then, right now. I don't have to, okay, you know, let me mess with this lens. Let me mess with the, you know, the adjustments for like, you know, the saturation, the contrast, you know, the balance between all the light and whatnot, you know. And then I got to take it out. I got to connect it, you know, to a memory card, plug it into you know what I'm saying? It's just so much steps to get what you want when you want. And someone like us versus someone else, that's where like we're more, okay, we're, you know I don't have a $10,000 or $5,000 camera with a $3,000 lens. I'm okay with that. I don't need to zoom in and get someone's sweat on their face as they're riding a coaster in the middle of July. You know, I want to capture here and there, everyone having a good time, everyone having fun with their families, friends, whatever it is. And I'm really big into that. So that's where we kind of stand out versus everyone else. To, you know, and a big thing is so I can watch a YouTube channel that has over 100,000 subscribers, and I can scroll down on the video, and there's so many questions that followers and fans, or just whatever you want to call them, ask. I mean, questions, and there's nothing. There's no answers. There's no, hey, I'll get back to you. There's nothing. So that's what people like about us, is we actually reply to stuff.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I try to do my best. You know, there's a team of us. That's kind of, I get sidetracked so easily. So like, getting back to the shooting videos. So like, everything nowadays is vertical videos. So you got me that's trying to shoot, you know, horizontal for YouTube, but then I got to shoot everything vertical for TikTok and Instagram Reels. It's just like, it's so much to do, but yeah, I enjoy doing it. It's not one of those things that I'm ever going to get tired of doing. And that's what makes cell phones the best tool you can have. My GoPro, I actually have last year's model, the GoPro Hero 10 Black edition, I think it is, that can actually shoot vertical videos, and you can quickly, you know, transfer wirelessly from your GoPro to your phone through the app, and then it's lay it there just like that. It's so easy. So something like that, you know, yes, I can do. But like, you know, just you know, I don't really know what else to say. Like, I enjoy doing what I do because, you know, it brings joys on people's face. Like you saw last Saturday, like at the Polar Plunge.
People traveled from Toledo.
I know. So like I walked around in line, stopped at every party and introduced myself, talked to people. And I came up to this girl and her dad, I believe it was. And I asked them, I asked everyone like, oh, where are you from? They said Toledo. I'm like, you really drove from Toledo all the way down here just for us? And they said, yeah, we did. I'm like, well, thank you. I like enjoy that. Yeah. And then I'm like, can I get a picture and can I put that on Facebook? Like, yeah, sure. So I took a picture and posted it right then and there. It's just like, that makes me feel good, something that started from nothing and look what it's turned into. We don't have to have the most following on YouTube or the most subscribers on whatever. It's just, the only goal I want to set for myself right now is just to, be there for when things arise. And again, that's what makes it stand out. I do only have one goal, and that is because I can't go live on TikTok yet. So we're at 560 followers. I need 1,000 to go live. So if you're listening, go follow us on TikTok. But because that's another platform that we can reach different people on. Yeah. And I really want to be able to go live on TikTok, and right now I can't because I'm 400-ish shy of being able to do that. But yeah, it's just one of those things, I enjoy what I'm doing. As far as future things for FYE, I briefly mentioned it is going to be our 10-year anniversary next year. I don't know the exact date. That's kind of my fault. I think it was in December. I go off the date, whatever day I created my YouTube channel. But I can look it up later. But yeah, we have some things planned. If you are on Facebook, we are very, involved in our community group. This is another thing I can go to a story of. I created the community group because I want people to be able to ask a question and not, get laughed at. Oh, why is so-and-so asking what a coaster credit is? Or why is so-and-so don't know what a hyper hybrid, or just whatever. And when I made a post last week saying that we have the resources and people in there, I'm not lying. We have veterans in there like that are, professional, in the industry that have ridden, hundreds and hundreds of coasters, have talked to plenty of manufacturers. So like your question is going to get answered, or I'm going to try to answer it for you. The group is private because I want to control who and who is not in there, only because there's tons of robots. There's fake profiles that get in there. They will promote spam. They will promote just whatever. And I don't want that. We get probably 10 to 20 requests a day, and half of them are robots. That's the only reason our group is private. I've heard many people ask us, hey, why is the group? It's because of that reason. And 9 times out of 10, I put those 3 questions in there. What's your home park? What's your favorite ride? And what does RMC stand for? If you don't answer that question, I know you're the general public, which is fine. If you can, then I know you're an enthusiast. So, we have a variety in there. And I really
we've all been there at some point in time.
Yeah.
We all started somewhere.
Yeah. And again, like that's why I enjoy doing it. Another thing I have is a website. I don't really promote that a lot because, obviously we don't have the following on there. But, someday if social media ever failed, or ever got shut down, like what are we going to do? So I have a website, you can follow, you can actually sign up, become a free member. It doesn't cost nothing. There are forums on there. We have blog posts, which again, it's just me running that. So like, it's me kind of doing everything, but like I want to have everything, but like everything doesn't get done at the same time, if that makes sense. Like Matt will take video, Adam will take video, and then we have Jen and Brian that will share posts, your news updates, stuff like that. But really, when people think of FYE, they think of me, Matt, and Adam. So me and Matt are more on the video side. Adam will post pictures, updates. He makes really good reels. So we kind of have a big variety of stuff, but I really want to put, excuse me. I really want to push people towards my website. It's just fyecoasters.net. It's super simple. But the day will come, I think, where social media will have more strict standards. As you can see, like Facebook is really strict, and I can say something, for example. So I commented on one of my friends' things last year. I said, I hate Mexican, and it was on like Mexican food. And I didn't put food. I just put I hate Mexican. And Facebook, I got banned for 24 hours because I put I hate Mexican. I tried to appeal it, and they said no. It's just like, if it knows what the picture is, I commented on a picture of food. Like, I don't hate Mexicans. I mean, it's just one of those things that was, and then they give you the option to appeal it, and they say you're still wrong. So just something that simple, in the way the world is right now. Again, I try to stay out of everything the best I can, but the way the world is right now, I don't think social media will always be free speech platform. So if I have my own website that I own, I run, I operate it, then it's more. I'm more lenient to do stuff on there than I am on social media.
Okay, and from the outside looking in, and having known you guys for a few years, I can tell you some things that stood out to me that are different from FYE. That make FYE stand out to me toward that better. I've been to a lot of enthusiast events. I've, talked to a lot of major YouTubers and stuff. And, a lot of these guys are just kind of like, hi, bye, some will talk more than others. Some won't really speak at all. And you all are just, you're welcoming to everybody. I mean, you'll tell anybody that walks up to you and talks to you, you'll take the time to talk to them, know their name, take a picture with them. And I've not seen another YouTube channel that has the meetups, and really works towards having a community, where people before, that maybe, don't really have a place, like, hey, come hang out, come hang out with us. And there's just not another, I guess, platform out there that I've seen that's as diverse, because you have the YouTube channel, you have the meetup, the Facebook thing, the whole social media platform that you have, the community that you've created on there. I don't see that, and this is nothing against the guys with 100,000 YouTube followers or whatever, that's their thing. But you all make it personal. And
that's why we're different from those other guys.
Yes, and that's what really made me want to hang out with you guys.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, not being sarcastic and funny, but from a real.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I've known you for quite some time now, and I always enjoy hanging out with you. You and your family, and it's just one of those things that I'm not. See, like I've always been a very people person. I can be friends with anybody, but if you get those one or two people that try to make you feel down on life or whatever you're doing, like even outside of coasters, like just get them out of your life, block them, like just ignore them. And I'm not gonna lie, there are some people that are banned from viewing the FYE page because of that reason, or they will spam on our content, or it just like whatever it is. I don't want that. I don't want that. I'm just here to ride coasters. And then kind of getting back on like where we started, we're definitely a Kings Island fan-based page. But as you see, we're trying to spread out more. I've been really trying to look for a rep in Florida. So anyone listening, if you're not doing nothing and you have a decent phone that can take pictures and videos, reach out to us. I have my phone by my side 24/7, 365. You know, we have our email, you know, we are our Facebook DMs, you know, Twitter, Instagram. We even have a Discord, you know, or TikTok, just whatever. We're so easy to get a hold of. You can get on our website and scroll on the very bottom and ask us a question, and then as soon as you hit send, my phone rings because there's an app that can, you know, connected to my website. You know, my phone dings and I can answer your question like we're, you know, texting. You know, but not everyone knows about the feature, or like I feel like, you know, like I'll make that one post a year on like my Facebook. Oh, if all 13,000 of you just go follow, you know, us on TikTok or YouTube, you don't even have to watch my stuff. Like that would help out tremendously, you know, like that's just me being funny. Because I want to get, you know, more info out there the quickest I can. And, you know, I enjoy making videos. And right now, the hot thing is vertical videos, but I don't want to give up on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, I posted last Saturday's vlog, you know, that got posted, Monday? So 2 days ago. Yeah, so that's up. You know, I posted some clips of that on TikTok. I posted, you know, I posted all of the on-ride photos, you know. And when I say like that one post, thank you for everyone that showed up, it means a lot. Like I honestly mean that. I tremendously mean that. Thank you for everyone that came out. You know, thank you, you know, to, you know, Gene and Larry that took that video of us all going out on the train. Like, if it wasn't for good friends like them, I wouldn't have had that video. You know, it's not like I'm paying these people $100 an hour. You know what I'm saying? They just do it out of the kind of their heart. And those are the people that I enjoy hanging out with. And just, you know, it makes a difference. Like, you don't want to go to a park and be with someone that's stubborn and stuck up. Oh, I don't want to wait in line for that. Or I don't, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't mind waiting in line for stuff. I don't mind, you know, riding this or riding that. No, like I'm not a big water ride person, but like I'll ride them. It's just I don't like getting wet.
I'm not either because it's my shoes. If I get the insides of my shoes,
yeah, exactly. And I don't wear
everything.
sandals. I do not wear sandals.
I don't either, and it drives me
I will
crazy.
have blisters.
Yep.
I will have blisters.
That's one of the reasons you'll see me avoiding the water rides. I know we just had the FYE Polar Plunge meetup last weekend. Looking forward to 2023. Do you have any plans in place for meetups, or is that still a work in progress?
So kind of getting back to our community group. I do, or I try to at least do a lot of things with the community group because it is a smaller bunch of people. We're a little over 2,000 people. Not all 2,000 people, you know, respond, which is fine. Again, I'm not a numbers person, but you know, like the Polar Plunge, that was a community group specific event, but I do still share it on the main page. We are, 2019? We did a gravity group tour. I'm working on another one of those, but it might not be until March just because they are busy. We also I try to do at least one meetup per season. So, you know, summer, fall, and winter fest. So like, you know, just, you know, like I make these events on Facebook, like, hey, opening day meetup, you know, just come hang out with us. You're more than welcome to ride rides and come hang out with us all day. No questions asked. You can come in and in the morning, then leave for lunch and come back in the evening. I have no problems with that. We are a very, you know, diverse group of people, from people that, you know, will hang with you all day, or like, you know, I had to go, last Saturday, I went and had dinner with my family, and then I met back up with you guys. You know, I'm that kind of person. I like to hang out with everybody. We will not turn you away. But yeah, as far as plans, those are a couple things we have. As far as plans for the channel for our 10-year, our big thing we're doing right now is as soon as we hit 1,000 followers on TikTok, I am giving away one Cedar Fair Park day ticket to any Cedar Fair park. I will go live on TikTok. It's TikTok specific, and it's gonna be an all day dining. I think I did. So it's over $100 value for all you have to do is follow us. Because I can get a ticket, for what, probably anywhere from $30 to $60 depending on what kind of specials they're doing. And then the all day dining I think was around the same price. So it's definitely a good thing. All you have to do is follow us. Because I did find a way to pull your TikTok followers onto a gigantic wheel. I hit that wheel, it's all live. Whoever wins, I message that person and they win. It's that easy. Even if someone has a pass, hey, like my grandma doesn't have a pass, but I want her to come watch her grandkids have a good time. I'm all for that stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not all about numbers, but when it comes to TikTok, I want to at least hit the minimum threshold to go live, and that happens to be 1,000. We're so close. We're almost at 600. I enjoy, making little videos on there. I might not make the best videos on there, but they're fun. They're silly. They're updates. That's what I like about TikTok. Actually, is they're quick updates. You can, hey, something is happening right now. Let's just post on there, and then you do the post and hashtag edit and post it. YouTube has YouTube Shorts. They are only up to 30 seconds or 60 seconds, but it's no more. It's very, very short, which is fine. I actually like that. But then if I post a major thing on YouTube, then it's not really going to get out. But then I got to post it to Facebook, Instagram, and and TikTok. And it just, that's how the word gets out through everyone. For us is Facebook and Instagram. But yeah.
Okay. Well, you've shared a lot of advice, which is what I'm going to discuss in my next question. You talked a lot about, different type of equipment to use, types of videos you like to take and pictures you like to take. What additional advice would you have for someone that's wanting to start their own YouTube channel or coaster group on social media that you haven't already shared? Because you've shared a lot of good stuff.
Do things you can't, not what you can, is the biggest thing. Don't be afraid to, so when I first started vlogging, I'm sitting on my cell phone out in front of me. Everyone in the world is staring at me. So then I'm thinking, oh my God, these people think I look so stupid. But you know what? I got past that, fear, and I'm never going to see those people again. They might see themselves in a video that a family member shares that they like, but other than that, I'm never going to see those people again. So why do I care what they think? If you have a cell phone and you want to start a YouTube channel, then do it. Not everything's based off YouTube. Start a Facebook group, something small, start a TikTok or Instagram. You can start whatever you want. A cell phone is the best tool to have. It's just like my big thing is do things you can't, not what you can. And that's, really big. I actually got that from a YouTuber I watched all the time. His name's Casey Neistat. I don't know if you've ever heard of his videos, but back when he was doing daily vlogging, he has, a tattoo on him that says, do what you can't.
Yes.
Not what you can. And it's, that's helped me. So, that's me looking up to another YouTuber and it's just, the best advice I can give is don't be afraid. Just do it.
That was one of the things for me joining this podcast that took me a long time to get used to. And it's still sometimes a struggle for me when I listen back to my own interviews.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I really sound like that. But, again, I don't care. I enjoy doing this. Yeah. I'm definitely going to listen to this podcast. But,
and I'm the same as you because I don't get paid for doing this. I do it because I want to, and I do it because I enjoy it, and I want to help people with it.
Yep. And then, we have we have had our own podcast in the past, but I'm actually looking to start it back up. But, that's just another one of those things. Like, I want to have everything I can to get the word out there. Like, on our website, the blog page I have on there is like just little things. I'm at home, like, hey, I'm typing up a story, then here's a few photos. Like, I enjoy doing that stuff. I share the link on Facebook. People click on it and read it, and they like it. Or versus if I were to do it on Facebook, no one's going to read a story about a thing I had. Yeah, that's why. So the podcast, I wanted it to be more along the line of, not really like what you guys do, but like just more of, hey, let's just do news and updates and you see where it goes. But, I do have a name for it. It's called the Greased Chain Podcast. There are 2 episodes right now out on everything you can listen to podcasts on, but that's all we have. I'm starting over fresh, and we're going to have different people on there. We're going to have, it's going to be something I'm actually working on for next year. But I just have to, again, like you say, you don't have the time to like watch YouTube videos. Like, I have to find the time to do it. Because, to find a work life and then your family life on top of doing this is hard.
Yeah.
That's why I've cut back a lot. I didn't do, I did one trip this year. That was to Cedar Point. Went to Cedar Point for Coaster Mania, which I, believe it or not, I do not recommend. It was a very
I heard that from a lot of
for
people.
Me. Yeah. I wanted to go to try it out. So I did. I probably will go back for another 5 or 10 years. I am doing something new next year. I'm doing Hollywood Nights. I'm very excited for that. I can't wait. I know you can show me around.
Just a little bit, maybe. I might.
Yeah. But again, if you're listening and you're going, feel free to hang out with us. I've never been. So show me your experience if you've been, or if you haven't been, then let's experience it together. Like, that's what we're all about. And that's what I want to document when I go, is our first experience. Like, what is this like? What is that like? I've never had nighttime rides on Voyage, let alone trimless nighttime rides. I have heard
had nighttime rides on Voyage. You are in for you're in for.
I have rode Voyage plenty of times, but
yes,
when I'm there with family. We're there for vacation, or or the line's too crowded.
If it tells you anything, I told you Still Vengeance is my number 3, Voyage is number 2, and those night rides. Not just trimless, trimmed or trimless. Those night rides are a big part of the reason for that.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. Okay. So, staying on the topic of advice, that's bringing us down to our last 2 questions. What advice would you like to give to those who are listening? And I mean, that can be any type of advice you'd like to give, as far as, overcoming fear, life in general, anything at all that you'd like to share.
I mean, just kind of the same thing I said. Just don't be afraid to go out and do something. If you don't have the money to go out and buy a point and shoot camera, which I never did, just use your cell phone. Or if you want to start something that's not even has to do with coasters, just do it. If you're thinking, like, another thing I enjoy doing is playing video games. I don't play a lot of games. I've actually been really big on Fortnite lately. Like, people are like, oh, Fortnite's a kid's game. Like, so I enjoy playing it. so is every Nintendo game, like Mario, but I play those. If that's your thing and you want to start streaming, you can stream with an Xbox, you can stream with a PlayStation. Take me, for example. My advice to myself, I take that. I don't have to have a $2,000 laptop. I have a cell phone, and we're doing this podcast interview on my iPad, and I have my AirPods in. So I don't have no nice big, 3 monitors. I don't have a studio mic. I don't have, an office or a gaming room where we're doing this. And, I'm sitting in my dining room. like the thing is, you don't have the best of the best to get the best. That's the big thing you got to look at. And I truly believe in that. I run everything you guys see off of my cell phone and my iPad. I edit every video I have on my iPad, or if it's something I got to get up right away, I edit it on my cell phone. Like most vlogs you see are edited on my cell phone. And you can never tell if that was edited on, like Final Cut or Premiere. I don't use those. I use, it's called LumaFusion. It's a great app. It's only actually they rolled out to Android over the summer, but it's really heavily on iOS and iPadOS. And I use my iPad as my main computer. So again, I don't have the best of the best. It works for me. I can run everything off my iPad, because, I can bring up, my website and edit it from there. I can upload videos to YouTube. I can upload social media. And then my iPad has a camera. If I happen to be at the park, I can tap a ball up really quick, take some pictures. But, just don't give up,
Yeah, and I really can relate well to some of the stuff that you're talking about. One of my mottos has become over time, do what you do and what you do well, and do you better than anybody. Everybody has unique gifts to bring to the table. And, sitting back and listening to my own interviews, that sort of thing. One of the things, I really worked on is not comparing myself to other people, because I'm never going to be like other people. I'm not I'm not those people.
And you don't want to be like those other people.
No, but getting to a point where I feel like I actually sound like myself, and I was myself, and I'm not letting nerves and thinking about other people and comparing myself to other people get in the way. Once you're able to do that, and let your personality show, you're already a success. It doesn't, like you said, it has nothing to do with how many followers you have or whatever. If you're having fun doing it and you feel good about what you're doing, just keep doing it. All right. And that brings us to our last question. I know you mentioned some different social media platforms that you guys are on. One more time for your audience, would you please share all the different places we can find you on social media?
Sure. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So
send me your bill of the mail for that one.
Right. So, our biggest one's Facebook. We're at FYE Coasters on everything, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, since YouTube actually rolled out handles over, past couple of months. Twitter. We're actually on Snapchat. I don't ever get on there a lot, but we do have Snapchat. We have Discord, TikTok. I can't trust enough about TikTok. TikTok is the place to be right now. And our website, www.fyecoasters.net. Sign up to become a member. It's absolutely free. And then once we have, a handful of members on there, we will be doing exclusive things just for those people. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's kind of like coming back to our community group. I do specific things in there for those people. And right now, during the off season, if you live around where we do, we do have an off season. We don't have parks open year round, unfortunately. But, so we do have to have different things planned. So like when I go to post something, I have an app that will post on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. And then I usually take that over and then post it on Twitter. And then I'll take that, if it's like a video, I'll take it over and post it on TikTok. So if you do see a lot of the same things posted on all of our socials, that's completely normal for this time of year. But come next year, we are going to be doing, certain things on certain apps. And I was kind of getting to that earlier when I said, have 13,000 people move over to a different platform. I get it. I have so many apps downloaded. I have different accounts. That's the last thing I want to do is download a new app. But you do have those people that will support you on anything and everything, and that they will move over and support you on different channels. Sorry, not channels, on social media platforms. So, but yeah, all social media is at FYA Coasters: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, let's see, Twitter, and then Snapchat, and then www.fyacoasters.net. And then we're on Discord too. That's more of like a chatting thing. Like, hey, you're in the park, you have a question, you want to meet up. That's more of like a texting thing. It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, that wraps up our interview. I want to thank you so much for all of the great conversation and sharing that you did with me and our audience this evening. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I've had a great time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I can't wait to hear it.
It was my pleasure. Thanks again.
All right, see you, Cam.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you want to see more of us, we upload every Friday. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Coaster Challenge. Links are in the description below. Thanks for joining us here today.